There is a way difficulty changes when it no longer has a story to support it. Not because difficulty disappears, and not because it becomes easier, but because it's no longer required to mean something about your life. This episode is about what it's like to meet difficulty without turning it into a narrative. For a long time, difficulty needed interpretation. When something was hard, you asked why, what it meant, what it said about you, what it was teaching. Difficulty became a chapter, a test, a setback, a sign. Those stories helped you endure. They gave pain context. They made struggle feel purposeful. But when the story quiets, difficulty changes shape. It still hurts. It still demands attention. But it no longer asks to be understood. You don't need to explain why this is happening for it to be happening. You don't need to frame it for it to be real. Difficulty without a story feels more immediate. You feel the frustration, the sadness, the resistance. And instead of stepping back to analyze it, you stay with it. Not to endure it heroically, not to transcend it, just to be present with what's here. This can feel exposed. Without a story, there's nothing buffering the experience. No meaning-making to soften the edges. Just sensation, emotion, response. But there's also less weight. You're not carrying the difficulty forward in time. You're not asking what this will turn into. You're meeting it now. That changes how long difficulty lasts. Not because it resolves faster, but because it doesn't echo as loudly. You don't replay it. You don't reinforce it with interpretation. It arrives. It moves. It leaves. Difficulty without a story also changes how you relate to yourself. Earlier, difficulty often triggered self-judgment. Why is this still hard? Why am I reacting this way? Why can't I handle this better? Those questions added pressure. They made difficulty personal. Now, difficulty doesn't say anything about you. It's just what's happening. You don't turn it into a verdict. This creates a strange kind of kindness. Not kindness as a strategy. Not self-compassion as a practice. Just the absence of self-attack. You're not fighting yourself on top of what's already hard. This doesn't mean you become passive. You still respond. You set boundaries. You make changes. You take care of what needs attention. But you don't do it to fix yourself. You do it because this moment requires something. Difficulty without a story also changes how you relate to endurance. You don't tell yourself you're strong for getting through it. You don't frame survival as achievement. You simply continue. And continuing doesn't need praise. It's not heroic. It's ordinary. This can feel grounding. You're not trying to be someone who handles difficulty well. You're just handling what's here. Some days that look steady. Some days it doesn't. Neither one needs explanation. Difficulty without a story also affects how you talk about your life. When someone asks how things are going, you don't feel compelled to summarize the struggle. You don't turn it into a narrative. You might say, "It's hard right now," and leave it at that. That simplicity can feel honest. You're not hiding. You're not dramatizing. You're stating what's true. This episode isn't suggesting that stories about difficulty are wrong. Stories can help when they're needed, but they're no longer required for difficulty to be met. You don't need to make sense of pain to be present with it. You don't need to redeem it for it to pass. Difficulty doesn't ask for meaning. It asks for attention. And attention doesn't need explanation. If you're listening to this and noticing that hard moments feel less personal lately, less tied to who you are or where your life is going, that's not detachment. That's difficulty without narrative weight. And if these reflections help difficulty feel more workable without needing to be understood, you're welcome to stay with the season as it continues. Liking the video helps it reach others who may be tired of carrying a story on top of what already hurts. If someone you care about is struggling and trying to make sense of it all, you're welcome to share this with them, only if it feels right. Difficulty doesn't need a story to be real. It only needs to be met, and you're already doing that.